My name is Gary Gooding, and I've attended the Osage United Methodist Church for since around 1988, and attended there for about 10 years before I went into the ministry. We belonged there because the church is the people, and we found a lot of good people in the United Methodist Church. We were a part of the first disciple Bible study that happened there, and had a disciple Bible study for 5 years in a row. Church is church. Church is the people, and the main people that we were involved with were Ed and Wanda King and Jeff Davis and Rich Porter and several others, that were in that group. Shirley Homewood and Shirley French, and Joe Gardner was a big part also. Even though he wasn't in that group, he was a mentor for me.
I didn't ask you before we started the video, but could you reflect back on your ministry? What was going on in the world that you preached about? And if you were still preaching today, what issues today do you think might impact your sermons?
Well, the world really hasn't changed too much. One thing that I found through the Disciple Bible Study was that when I first went into really getting serious about it, what surprised me was that David was one of those people that God loved no matter what he did. And he did a lot of things. And what I learned through that Disciple Bible Study was that God loved him even though he did those things. And I thought, well, if God can love him with all that he's done, he probably loves me too. And so that was the one thing that I wanted to preach on, to let people know that no matter who you are or what you've done, God's never given up on you. You can turn your back on him, but he'll never turn his back on you. And so that was what I mainly wanted to get across. And by getting that across, and that Jesus died on a cross for all of us, wanted to get people involved in the church and help them to feel that they were really wanted, that we all had the same joys, that we all had the same sorrows, and that we all can come together and help each other. And it's one thing to go to church, but it's another thing to be the church. And so by being the church, we need to get out into the world and do the things that Jesus has asked us to do. And mainly we can do all those things by following just that one commandment: love each other. Love each other as he's loved us. And if we follow that, we can do that. There's a song that goes, I am the church, you are the church, we are the church together. All of God's children all around the world is the church together. And so we need to kind of keep that in mind, and hopefully by doing that we can kind of learn to love each other just a little bit more. And that's probably the main thing. Boy, the only suggestion that I'd have is that you have to remember, no matter how bad things get, God's still in charge. And God will win, no matter what happens. And so we just need to realize that we can come together as God's people and be God's people, and that'll make the whole world better.
Church is Greetings, Osage City United Methodist Church. This is Francis Stockton talking to you from Ozaki, little town on Lake Perry. This is where I've holed up here lately. I am still working. I'm doing a 1/4 time job in my retirement. But I just want to remember a little bit about what Osage City was. And although there's many things I could think about, we did some building and some remodeling and things while I was there that was pretty exciting. But when I think about Osage City, I think about music. Well, that was a wonderful choir to sing with. That was a brass choir to play with. That was organ and piano and instruments and everything and wonderful programs like the Last Supper tableau and all that stuff. Just a wonderful place to worship God. And so I know it still is. I'm thanking God for the time I had at Osage City, and I just congratulate you on your anniversary, and hope that you just have a powerful ministry for at least another 150 years. Okay, God bless Osage City.
This is Pastor Alice Purvis speaking. I served as pastor at Osage City United Methodist Church from 2010 until 2017. It was a time when so much in our world, our church, was beginning to change. The challenge was growing to learn how to be a church in today's climate. And perhaps we didn't always get it right the first time, but Osage City United Methodist has always had people full of love who cared and wanted to make a difference. Which is why I chose to share the pictures, to help us remember and to give glory to God for all the willing hands that made a difference for Christ over the years. Just recently, I was reading a Facebook post of a young lady who participated in the youth ministries a number of years ago. Her life had not been an easy one, and we were one of her anchor spots. She commented in the post how glad she was to have come to a place in life where she was no longer caught up in the craziness, but she was finding purpose and a sense of worth. I believe the time she was associated with the Osage City Church was a part of helping her build that foundation that she could finally rest on. A seed planted that found good soil and grew. Just last year, I also had the opportunity to revisit the United Methodist Women's Unit that meets at the women's prison in Topeka. Imagine my surprise as I walked in and found the guard checking us in was one of the local youth who, not just him, but his whole family, had been the recipient of love and help from so many at Osage City United Methodist. Again, seeds planted that produced fruit. The ministry of the church, to love people, to help them come to know Christ, has remained, even as the world around it has changed. As you've seen the pictures with this video, you have seen the evidence of this from the past. A past that was built on the faithfulness of those who came before and continues today and into the future. I am grateful for my time at Osage City United Methodist. So many wonderful ministries and acts of love, empowered by folks with caring hearts. The saints who have passed on and those still here who have sustained the work of God. So many wonderful opportunities for myself and for my faith to grow and to be stronger. May God's love and gracious Spirit continue to bless and guide the ministries of His faithful servants at Osage City United Methodist, bringing the light of all that is good to the community and world beyond. God's blessings to you all, and to the ministry of Christ as we all continue the work of going forth and making disciples, baptizing, teaching, and remembering Christ is indeed always with us, each one. God bless you all, and here's to another good 150 years.